that I'm going to play for you. The next piece is a piece that I wrote for my dad a number of years ago and put on an album called Fruit Tree, and it's called For My Father. And this piece is also in the key of G, just like the last piece. And the interesting thing about this is I think everybody is in a certain key. Everybody is a chord. Everybody, you know, there's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, there's A flat, there's C sharp, there's E minor, but I believe that everybody is a chord in the spirit. That might sound funny, but everybody's also a color. Everybody is a color. And the chords represent colors. I think D is green. I think the E chord is red. So I was thinking about my dad today because, you know, he was a music man all the way. And he passed that on to me. And my dad was G. My dad is the G chord. And both these songs that I'm playing are in the key of G. So what does my dad sound like? Here it is. G is one of the brightest chords in the scale. And that's the way my dad was. He's a bright person. He didn't go around depressed all the time, and anybody who knew him could see that. And he had problems just like everybody else. But all these months when he was obviously suffering, you want to know what's amazing? He didn't really complain. And we say, well, why should somebody have to suffer? Well, that doesn't seem fair. It's hard to understand suffering, but you know, Jesus suffered more than anybody. And what I have to say about that is that, see what I mean? Suffering, babies crying. The Bible says that when we suffer for righteousness, we receive a crown of glory from the Lord in heaven. And so I know my father, because of the last months of his life, there's a lot of suffering. I know he received a crown of glory for that. And that's the perspective we should have. Keep a positive perspective. And he didn't complain. I asked him over and over again, almost every day I'd see him, Dad, how are you doing? He never once said bad. He never once said terrible. And most of the time he said good. Sometimes he said okay. When it was really bad, he'd say okay. He never said it's terrible. He never moaned and groaned. And when it was the worst of all, and I'd ask him, how are you doing, Dad? He'd say, things could be better. But see, that's a positive attitude. And, you know, as we go through life, we're teaching others whether we realize it or not. So I share this with you because I know we all have our own race to run and we're going through things, but keep that positive perspective. It'll make it easier to go through whatever we go through as individuals. Have you figured out yet that complaining doesn't do any good? I hope so. It doesn't do any good. And so this next piece, which is in the key of G, because like I said, my dad's the G chord. I'm going to play it for you now.